for me, for my story, I just love sharing, you know, things that I like. And, you know, it's so weird to say, but like a lot of people on my Snapchat story use me as a resource for like hair and for getting your nails done. Where do you go to do this? Because it's
cool.
a quote unquote reliable source to them.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So if I'm posting that I'm getting my hair done, people want to know where. People want to know how much, and they can just send me a message really quick. Or if I'm traveling, oh my gosh, where are you?
That you know, even the thought of company culture. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like the idea of company culture like never existed for my generation and even prior. Like the company didn't give a rat's ass about you. You know what I mean? And I having 2 kids, right? And you working with kids, I think that that's just super, super cool. Do you feel that there is this stigma on your generation? And remind NEZNATION, like if you don't mind sharing, you know, your generation and how old you are. My mom always said, never ask a lady how old she is.
I'm 23. So
yeah,
obviously
it's not a big deal.
generation has that stigma. And I was just talking to my best friend about this yesterday, who was talking to her grandmother about your generation, you know, never does this, and this. You guys are only concerned about X, Y, and Z. And I honestly think the opposite. Like, you know, that whole like stay woke thing. Like we're very aware. Like, I mean, my circle of friends, like we're aware about our environment, about people around us, just like you said, about our work culture.
Right.
How could you, I think just a lot of those things surface now, like mental health and jobs offering therapy or different, you know, jobs having gyms and stuff like that for their employees. I think that's amazing, which like you said, you never had in your time or prior time, et cetera, et cetera.
What I love about you is that you actually care about cultivating that. So it's not something that you're just like, okay, it should be this way and this is my expectation and bam, it needs to happen, right? Like I actually was not really a big fan of sort of this kind of, it seemed to be this avalanche of, you know, thought leaders or influencers or what have you, kind of the millennials and the Gen Ys, and, you know, this is what's wrong with them. And this is why they, you know, the trophy mentality and all that. To me, like what I'm seeing with my students who are around your age and even younger, and I really try to stay, you know, aware of what's happening in the culture and aware of what's happening in the world, and especially in the digital ecosystem. And especially in, you know, to me, what I think social media is literally 21st century communications, especially video. Like I see a lot of people who are really investigating, who are really searching, who are really trying to access their critical thinking and their creativity. And I mean, these dudes and dudettes are like creating their own jobs, like they're creating their own positions, they're creating their own meaning. And the reason I bring this up, Hannah, is because when I was growing up, right, in the 90s and late 80s, you know, like it was the same thing. Like with me and my friends, we felt like outsiders. We kind of felt outside the cast because we didn't care about what was going on too much in the, you know, what people were saying we needed to be, like what Gen X needs to be and what our generation should be doing and what they think they're doing. Like to me, like really, and I'd love your thoughts on this, to me, it's like intelligent people, creative people versus people who just want to remain ignorant and just want to stand in line, right? Get their paycheck, stand in line. No judgment, but that's just not my bag. You know what I'm saying?
Totally. And some people are just, you know, they're okay with working the 9 to 5, going home, doing the routine.
Nothing wrong with that.
Not at all. But for me, there's just this yearning, deep burning fire inside of me that says, how can I, you know, learn to live my life the fullest? How can I appreciate the simple things? Because at the end of the day, like your house, your car, none of that matters. You're going to, you know, you're not going to die with your Corvette.
No.
You're going to die with amazing experiences with people.
If I do, my wife's going to get it. And so what? How's that help me?
It doesn't. Right? Like there's
or my kids are going to get it and they're just going to crash it anyway.
Right. Like there's this beautiful sunset right now that's happening. And I think that we just in our fast-paced world, we're not taking the time to really appreciate those kinds of things, and we're just so consumed.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And this is what I love about watching your journey. We were talking about this, guys, before we went live. Come on in, guys. Share those hearts, share those likes, please. And sharing is caring. Share this out, because you're going to want to invite people to check this out. This is going to be a real killer conversation. You know, like I can see it. I can see it in your engagement with your students. And this is something that I try to do with my students too. It's like, and I know Tim knows this, I've told my students this multiple times, I'd love to have you one of these days in my, even just as a guest lecturer perhaps, or just something like that,
gosh.
because you actually should be a guest lecturer. But like, you know, they don't pay professors jack.
Right.
They don't pay teachers nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You have to pay for your own materials. You don't get any breaks. There's no like, you know, there's really like the amount, you don't get paid for anything outside of the classroom. Like you don't get paid for lesson plans, for grading, for getting, you know what I mean? Like you literally only get paid for the time you spend in the classroom, which is like, if you break it down, I tell my students all the time, there's easier ways to starve to death. You might as well just go work at Starbucks if you don't love this. Does that make sense, Hannah?
The intrinsic reward.
That's it. Like, I love the way you said that. So if you love it, right? If you love it, it doesn't feel burdensome. It doesn't feel...
Like that. I think that quote is, what is it? If you love what you do, you never have to work a day in your life.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, exactly.
Right?
It doesn't feel like work. I couldn't agree more. Didn't I come up with that quote?
I think, quote, Professor Nez. NEZNATION.
I'm totally teasing.
Your picture right next to
What a narcissist. Who is this guy? But yeah, like, I mean, you know, I don't want to say that money's not important, because it is. We got to pay those bills. I've got 2 kids. I got a mortgage. I got a wife that likes Louis Vuitton. Hello.
Oh, hi.
So that's I know you know this, Hannah. You've seen my Snapchats. But like, you know, it's important, but man, you're absolutely right. The time that you spend on this earth is so limited, you know, if you really look at the macro picture.
Right.
That if you're doing every single day, if you're hating it, if it's a struggle, if you're fighting gravity just to get there. I mean, I think that's what I'm really proud of this generation, because we were never given that baton. We were never given that sort of, hey, have you thought about what you want to do? No, it was always about be a doctor, be a lawyer, be a business person, do what's going to give you that financial stability. And again, I think it's important, but it's funny now that I'm really getting my consulting business going. Like, I'm so happy and proud that my courses, my consulting is building in my digital business. Like, and I love it. Like, it's like,
there's no other feeling.
It's an amazing feeling, but even more important, I think, just to be practical, like, Hannah, like, the success is flowing, like the monetary, the what have you, like it's because I'm so in it to win it, and because I'm like a locomotive, you know, in my business.
Well,
and
you can't ever be 1 foot in, 1 foot out of anything.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So if you're that committed type of person, and you put they say where energy goes, results will always show.
Ooh.
So if you're in,
I like that.
To win it, like you said, your results are always going to show. And if you're 1 foot in, 1 foot out, it's kind of like, not really.
Yeah. You're right. It's a little too wishy-washy. Yeah.
Right.
So let me ask you this: what is it about teaching for you? Like, talk a little bit about your, especially the field that you're in and what you want to go in. What is it about that kind of experience? Because you're so good with them. Like, honestly, Hannah, like, you're so good with them. And I'm not even there full time, right? Like, I'm there through your amazing digital storytelling, which I want to get to. Like, we have to tap into Instagram. Like, we have to tap into Snapchat before this interview is over, because I think that's just, like, I'm loving your creativity there. And you've actually been a big inspiration to me. I don't know if you know.
Oh my gosh.
No, I'm serious. Like, I've actually literally stolen, like, oh, I like the way she kind of cut to the parking lot there and did that little like title thing there and put the graphic there. Like, I've been like, I'm going to steal that. I like that.
That's so funny. Well, I mean, for me, it's just, I went to this amazing 2-day training that I thought was going to be so boring. Learning about intensive behavior for kids on the spectrum who have autism. I was like, man, this is just going to be a textbook kind of 2 8-hour day. And I came out of it like, wow, this is what I was meant to do, because us as humans are, what did she say? She said that we were very socially motivated individuals. And for me to interact and see the progression from start to end and see where our kids can go and be in their lives is so motivating for me, because there's this huge stigma in the early 70s, 80s about kids or students with special needs that just needed to be institutionalized because they weren't able to learn or be smart, which is not the case.
Right.
So our mentality in the 20th century has changed, that we just have to change our teaching styles so they can learn, so they can learn those social type of skills. And for me to just see that and see them grow is just so rewarding. I've always been a kids person. I've always, for me, teaching martial arts and seeing my kids go from white to black belt or from ages 3 to 15 is just like, wow, I'm a small part of their lives that I'm so grateful I got to be a part of, to see them bloom and blossom into whatever they want to be, you know?
Yeah. See, I think if it's in your blood, you got to run with it. Like, my father was a professor. My grandfather started one of the first charter schools. Like, it's in my blood. It's in my DNA. And like, I never wanted to teach, to be honest. Hey, Tim, good to see you. No problem. I never wanted to be, to me, like, I think I've said this before, Hannah. I don't know if you've seen it in any of my content, but I've said this before, where like, I wanted to be like Stephen King. Like, I wanted to sit by the ocean, just write my novels and live like a king. You know what I mean? Like, be like Hemingway. And, that didn't really pan out. But, I mean, I'm proud of my books, but they're not like on Stephen King's level. But, not even in his genre. I don't know why
Great
I'm saying
short
Stephen
stories,
King.
by the way. I love those.
Thank you. Thank you. Actually, Hannah's the one person who's actually bought one. No, I'm kidding. Thank you, Hannah. You're amazing. So it was you and I think and my mom. No, I'm kidding.
No.
But like, I discovered, and I love the way you said that. You're like, I didn't think that. I thought this was going to be boring. I like remember that feeling in front of the class, and that feeling where a student came up to me and said, that was the most powerful hour I've ever spent with anybody in a classroom. And like, every single molecule in my body just burst.
Yes.
And I said, you cannot put a monetary value on this.
No.
That's why I tell my students, if it doesn't make this thing go like that, if it's just like safe, punch in, punch out, I got my Corvette, I got my house, but everything's safe, especially 18 to 32. Like 18 to 32, like F around as much as you can. Meaning just search.
Dabble
like
into
just quest.
everything.
I didn't really get serious about anything. I mean, I met my wife when I was 31, 32. We didn't get married till I was 34, I think. I had Sammy at 34. We had Sammy right away. Like, honestly, like, I had horrific times in my 20s, and I had the most exhilarating times in my 20s, right? But the point is, I explored the F out of everything. And I finally just, it was just finally, basically, it was just like the universe was like, okay, you belong here. Just stand there and relax. Enough is enough.
There's no linear way to anything. You're going to have
I love the way you said that.
And, I worked retail. I've never worked, hospitality thing. I probably wouldn't be very good, but
I think you'd be great because you're empathic, meaning you understand how other people feel and think. Because you can't be a good teacher if you don't have emotional intelligence.
Right. And
I think you do. And Tim, I'm so glad you're here, because Tim's an artist. He does amazing things with YouTube. I just interviewed him recently too. He's going to dig this conversation, because I like what you said. It's not linear. Like I think, first of all, I think you'd be great in hospitality, but go ahead.
Oh, I mean, I've done a ton of different things. I've sat in the office, and, it's just, when is it ever time to do the right thing and jump ship to what you're supposed to do? It's never the right time. So take advantage and do it now, because
exactly.
I mean, but there's also no, you could be 70 and find your passion. You could be, 18 and find your passion. It's a matter of finding what your niche is and running with it and just doing it.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. Like, when you say that, like, you can find it at 70, because I know that there could be some people's like, oh, that sounds kind of bumper stickery, but I know exactly what you mean, because first of all, the way life expectancy is going, we're all going to probably live to be $150, right? And then second of all, like, what's the rush? What's the rush? Is there like, and you know what, honestly, Hannah, I'd love for you to talk about this because, you know, very good, Tim. Thank you. You know, I'd love for you to talk about this. Like, this is the fastest era of all time. Like, everything's fast. Life is fast. I mean, can you believe that like summer's over? What happened to summer? Do you know what happened to it?
I have no, I mean, I didn't even have time to like really go to the beach.
I mean, literally, like literally, I'm not even kidding you. Like, did not even have time to go to the beach.
Oh my
Like, it's
God.
insanity how fast. I mean, 2017. Hey, Megan, good to see you. 2017 is practically over. I mean, it's going to be Christmas tomorrow.
Right.
So what's the rush? Why is everything so fast? What is your thoughts on that? Why do you think everything is it because of like device dependency? And how does this relate? I want to get back to that idea of discovery and trying things out and doing different avenues. You know what I mean?
I mean, I think the idea of advancement has started, you know, when the Industrial Revolution hit. I'm not trying to get historical, but like
No.
always trying to do the next best thing.
Yeah.
Just with this, you know, boom of social media and, you know.
I'm surprised at 23 you even know what the Industrial Revolution is. I'm so impressed.
Props to my 8th grade history teacher who was the best, Mr. Dave Warden.
I think I remember you talking about him, I think.
There's just those teachers, you know, this is another reason why I want to be a teacher, because there's just those teachers that you remember. You remember their name. You remember a lesson that they taught you.
Yep.
Like, man, this is why I want to do it. Who else? Professor, my high school, no, was it high school or college? Anyway.
You never had my class because you would remember me for life.
Right. You know what I mean? You just remember.
No, I totally do. I totally get that.
But with this, you know, social media just taking over our lives, you never see anyone looking up anymore. We're always looking down at our phones. And I struggle with this too. I mean, I get home after a long day. What do? Get on my Instagram and start scrolling. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's just how our generation is. And it's kind of sad.
I think you're the last generation, or no, wait. I think actually I'm the last generation that was really born before like Internet 2.0 kind of took over, where like you guys and my kids and even my brother's generation, the millennials, were kind of born into, you know, this digital era. You know, it's so interesting because my kids, Hannah, oh my God, and I'm not proud of this, y'all, but like my daughter knows how to use an iPad like a ninja.
Right.
Like she's like
swiping, knows where the app is.
She knows exactly where Netflix is. She knows where Uncle Grandpa is. She's like, I hate that show too. And she loves it. But like, I mean, it's unbelievable. Yes, Tim says addicted to digital. The apps are designed today to make you attached to the internet.
On that thing, I don't know if Tim can chime in and say, I was reading this really interesting article that app developers create our apps to be visually stimulating. So there's this, you can, on your phone, you can disable the colors of your apps to make them grayscale. And apparently that's supposed to help with not wanting to use your apps because the colors play. You know how McDonald's is red and yellow, and red and yellow are the biggest.
It's all branding. Yeah. It's all like marketing. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, God, it's wild. I just can't even really fathom it.
Do you think, because there's two schools of thought here, and I love that you have the pulse on your generation, I think. Do you think that it's because the two schools of thought that I've been sort of teetering back and forth? I don't think it's completely one and the other. Like one school of thought is, yes, like it's stifling communications, it's stifling interactivity, it's become like a drug, and it actually works on like oxytocin and dopamine neurotransmitters the same way that most drugs do. But then there's the other school of thought that's like, hey, but this is giving people a platform. It's just the medium has changed, right? It's like technology, you know, is never the sort of technology doesn't augment your personality, it just exposes it, right? So that the fact that technology is just changing at a rapid pace, and it always has been, but it's actually allowed like people who may want to do harmful things to themselves, it gives them an outlet to reach out and actually communicate, especially for introverted people or people not too comfortable with face-to-face. It's opening up all these communities and all these avenues of open lines of communication and ways of sharing themselves and expressing themselves that they otherwise couldn't. So I'm not sure if it's, I want to believe the second one. Like, I want to believe that, yeah, this isn't like some kind of dystopian George Orwell nightmare Skynet thing.
I mean, I think there's a fine balance with anything that we do in life. It's a
Yeah.
you're on a tightrope. You could go either way. But it's just all about finding that balance, not getting too obsessed, but still being able to, express yourself in whatever way that you feel.
And this is what I think, like, I don't mean to cut you off,
Yeah,
but
no
this is
problem.
what I think, why I feel like self-awareness, and why I think being conscious, and not in a hippy dippy way, but just in a real practical way, just like being alert and aware, like, dude, I've been on my phone way too long, or like, dude, I need to really discipline myself that, like, right now, what I need to do is put this thing down. And by the way, everybody who's listening and watching, especially if my wife is watching, I don't know, she could be here, who God knows. But like, she always just, she never really comments. She just sometimes watches. But like, honey, I love you. But it's about that. I mean, I'm not really executing this myself. Like, I'm just like you, Hannah. Like, I am the scroll king, right? I'm terrible. So I don't want anybody to think like, oh, he's got balance, he's got it all figured out. Not
Oh
even
my God,
close.
it's a daily struggle almost. Like the
Right.
addiction is real. Like we have to put a cap on our phone saying after 9 o'clock, let's have some human interaction here.
Yeah.
Let's talk about our day. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, by no means am I perfect at that? Like, you know what I mean? Like we
I
all have
think
flaws.
anybody who says they are, exactly, we're all flawed.
Right.
And I'd love your comments, guys. Leave some comments. What do you think? Do you think that social media is just getting out of control, and it's getting more out of control? Let's kind of have a little thought of the day. Or do you think this is just the way that we're communicating? It's just the same people exist, just the medium has changed, which I think that there's a lot of truth to that. But I think this goes back, Hannah, to like the first thing that we talked about, like labels, like cultivating your own kind of purpose, finding
Right.
something that fulfills you, cultivating your own community, like creating your own like sense of who you are and what you want to, like, to me, like, me and my friends, like, we burn the night, you know what I mean? Like, I would
Mm-hmm.
have conversations with some of the best minds of my generation, I feel like, from like, it was always after the party too, like the party was always crap.
Right.
It was
After
always
everyone went home,
after
smoke
everyone went
signals.
home, that's
Yes.
it.
Yes.
To be honest, Hannah, like, I actually remember doing this. This is so sad. This can make me look like such a nerd. But Hannah, I actually remember being like, I kind of can't wait till this stupid like rave, loud music party is over, so I can sit and make fun of everybody with my friends. Like, that's what we used to do. Like, it was those intimate, one-on-one, shooting the S, just hanging back. But then it always took that turn, because when you talk to a dude like me, it's always going to take that turn to like the
Mm-hmm.
philosophical and the serious crap and the artistic stuff, and like the who are you in here vibe. I just can't help it. That stuff just comes out of me.
I'm all about
and
that.
and it just happens, it's not forced. That's what I love. And we created our own truths, we created our own question marks, we created our own ideas of who we are, what we were, and human condition, and life and history and truth, all that stuff. Like, I love what you're doing, and I love what you're doing with your digital storytelling. And I think that my point with this little rant is, I think that the more that we understand that we don't have to kowtow to anybody, we don't have to fall for labels and definitions, that we really can be fiercely independent. Like, I mean, like, locomotive independent,
Mm-hmm.
that it doesn't matter what's happening externally. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
Right.
externally is just going to be like a fun thing, like a byproduct. Whereas internal, like your inner game, is, to me, like, that's your farm that you need to soil, and you need to like grow
Got to
real
tend to
stuff.
it every single day.
Tend to it. I love that. Tend to it every single day. That's
Yes.
exactly right. I love this conversation. This is some great stuff. Let me see what Tim said here. I think it's a bit of both, out of hand and a new way of communicating. look at the time spent on the phone for hours during the 60s and 70s. You know what's so funny is like, I don't think Hannah remembers this. I doubt she does.
Wasn't even conceived.
Probably wasn't even, well, not the 60s and 70s. That's not what I was talking about.
Oh, I was like,
I'm like, hey, Hannah, I know I'm stupid. I'm not that stupid. No, Hannah, do you remember 1965? No.
I do.
But like, no, what I meant was like, I remember like when phones existed, like real phones. You know, like what we have now are not, these aren't phones. Yeah. What happened? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Did I break out for a second?
A little bit.
Okay. No, but like, do you remember phones, like real phones?
Yes.
Like the ones that were like plugged in the wall, like those kind of phones.
Like you know, you call your crush in 5th grade and you're like, hi, can I talk to so-and-so?
Okay. So she does, ladies and gentlemen, she does remember, because like I literally, and I know what Tim's talking about. I remember being on the phone for like 10 hours. I really do. Like with a girl or with a friend, even with a friend. Didn't have to be a girl.
Forward to going home, being on the phone.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I remember my parents being pissed. Like, look at the phone bill. Like, you know, like even though some of it was local, I did have one friend who lived on the East Coast, you know, and that phone bill, I don't want to go there. But yeah, Isaac, yeah, you remember those, Isaac? Very good. Yeah, Isaac's like, I remember those. Hey, Jordan, good to see you. Nice to see you. Please share this out, guys, if you can, and give us some likes. Let us know you're there. Give us some hearts. Give us some likes. We'd really appreciate it. Like, and so Tim's right. It's like, to me, like maybe there isn't a difference. Like we used to be on the phone for days, you know? Like we used to be on our
new outlet.
It's a new outlet. Like platform. We used to be on, thank you guys, appreciate it. Like exactly, like we used to play Contra, we used to play Nintendo, we used to play Sega Genesis and Game Boy. We used to, I mean, you know, I don't know. So that I think it's interesting. I think that again, the generalities are exactly that. And the people, the individual is what counts, right? So you need to really take ownership of what you do and how you do it and how you kind of discipline yourself. And I think the rest will take care of itself.
I agree with that.
Megan says, sorry, I'm being quiet. I'm on the computer. That's okay. No problem. Thank you. You can give us some likes. We'd really appreciate it. So speaking of technology, Hannah, and check it out, Hannah, it's already been like almost 40 minutes. It feels like it's been 5 minutes. So like, I want to talk about like your killer Snapchatting and Instagramming and just, I don't think let me ask you this. You're 23. What are you primarily on? This will be really valuable because I got a lot of marketers who watch this and digital entrepreneurs. What are you mostly on, being a 23, young, good-looking, beautiful, intelligent 23-year-old? Oh my gosh,
you're so sweet.
What do you think? What do you mostly like? Give me the platforms that you're mostly
on. On Snapchat a lot. Definitely a ghost type of person on Instagram unless I'm posting. Like I'm doing a lot of like, you know, creeping and looking through stuff and looking at tags and going on my Explore page, that new feature that's been really cool.
Oh yeah, that is a really cool feature. I wanted to ask you about that too. Like, do you fall into this? Do you have any thoughts on this ongoing debate, like Snapchat versus Instagram, and and Instagram's trying to destroy Snapchat? What are your thoughts on that? Do you have any thoughts on that, or is it just a bunch of phooey?
I think it's just like anything new that's going to pop up, people are always going to make an uproar. Like I saw myself, you know, on your memories on Facebook, I saw myself, I posted a status and this was like 18-year-old me. God, Instagram changed. Why did they do that? But we're always changing. We're always evolving. And I'm okay with it now. You know what I mean? But when it happened and when it was new, it caused an uproar. So I think it's just whatever you like to use. If you're never on Snapchat, you have Instagram and Snapchat on one platform. But,
and now it's like, it's kind of getting out of control. Like now there's Facebook stories, there's Messenger Day,
don't use Facebook stories.
And by the way, I don't notice you, and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't notice you really that much on Facebook, period. Am I wrong?
I don't really go on it that much. It's just more so for me to, not that it's older generation, but it's like family, friends that, you know, that you connect with and you just see what's going on in their daily lives.
You know, all the demographics confirm what you're saying. Like most older, the kind of old, and actually Snapchat's starting to get there. Like
Mm-hmm.
most older generation, I was going to say fogies, but I'm going to stop saying fogies. But like most of the older, like maybe post 35, you know, maybe, or 30 to 45 or what have you. Yeah, they've kind of really taken over Facebook.
I mean, this is
Whereas,
for my uncle in the Philippines who I can see what they're doing. You know what I mean?
right, right.
It's still very popular with that demographic.
Yeah.
But I think for my generation, it's not so much where you can post your 21st birthday picture in Vegas or whatnot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And do you think that, and I got to be honest, like you know me, I've been a Snapchat lover since day one.
I know.
When
Where are you at on there?
aha. So here's the thing I wanted to tell
I
you.
know. I
Exactly.
know.
See, this is how good Hannah is. Hannah knows exactly what's going on. Like I don't know what it is, Hannah, but like for my purpose and my intention of trying to kind of amplify my message and get my thing out there, like Instagram's just been the
Killing
absolute
it.
ish. It's just been the ish for me. Because yeah, hey, Tim's like, hey, watch the wording there. Tim, you're not a fogey, I promise. But like I, you know, and Hannah's right. Like I used to be a Snapchatter, like, I mean, an insane Snapchatter. And I have not been on the platform as much lately. I got to be
And I
honest with
think
you.
that's where you coined NEZNATION,
That's exactly right.
right?
That's exactly right. It all started really on Snapchat.
Right.
I
Right.
mean, I
Right.
wasn't even really, this was like early 2016, late 2015. I wasn't even really on like a lot of the live stream vibe. I mean, I was doing Periscope, starting Periscope sort of, because I've always loved Twitter. But yeah, like my game didn't really pick up as far as live streaming until after that. So Snapchat was really like the birthplace.
Right.
And it really came from my students, right? The 18 to 25-year-olds. We're just like, dude,
The people you were
this is where it's
teaching.
at.
Right.
And then I started understanding, because I wanted to be a really good teacher and professor. I started understanding, like, holy mackerel, this isn't just like silly illy dilly or just its and giggles. This is actually like an amazingly powerful, effective way to tell your story to your friends and to people,
Mm-hmm.
right? And me being a communicator and an author, I recognized that instantaneously. Like I was like, okay, this is cool, because the technology, the barrier to entry is nil now. It used to be, if you wanted to do any video 10, maybe even 10, 12 years ago, not that long ago, you had to do the full production vibe.
Right.
Now it's just like, hello, what up? You know, which, like, to me, it lets the creator create. Like
Which is
we don't,
what so
yeah,
many people do now.
yeah.
I mean, I know for me, for my story, I just love sharing, you know, things that I like, and you know, I get, it's so weird to say, but like a lot of people on my Snapchat story use me as a resource for like hair and for getting your nails done. Where do you go to do this? Because it's
Oh,
like I'm
cool.
a quote unquote reliable source to them. You know
Yes.
what I mean? So if I'm posting that I'm getting my hair done, people want to know where. People want to know how much, and they can just send me a message really quick. Or if I'm traveling, oh my gosh, where are you? I just love being able to use that outlet as, you know, I like to think I'm a pretty funny person. Like,
Oh, I'm
so
telling you right now. I'm telling you right now. Not only that, but like, even like, of course, like you're charming 1,000,000%. But like even deeper than that, Hannah, and like I don't want to embarrass Hannah right now, but like I really think your concept of narrative. Okay, me being a storyteller at heart, I appreciate good storytelling, right? So
mhm.
like I really like I like how you mix up the video with the stills. There's, just for example, like when you went I think when you went on your Vegas trip, which wasn't that long ago, but like the way that you told the story, the way that you really, sometimes it's linear, sometimes it's nonlinear, but it was encapsulating. There was no boring moments. It was really, you kept the rhythm and tempo. I don't even know if you can really, this is something you can teach, but I feel like you just got it in you. Like, you know what people want to consume, you know how they want to consume it, and you stick to the interesting parts and leave out the boring parts, which I
Yeah.
think, to me, like, and this is like totally off out of the blue, I would say, Hannah, for you, I could actually see you being a consultant for brands and companies on how to really maximize your digital presence and storytelling for your brand and your company.
It's
I could actually see you making some dope money doing that.
I think it's interesting that you say that, because a lot of my motivation for where my Snapchat is and how I storytell goes back to who I am as a person. I'm
Yeah.
not going to share a facade of my life they say that people on Instagram only share the highlight reels of their life. And for me, it's really about being transparent and sharing my struggles and sharing my highs and my lows. And, you know, when I'm feeling down or if I'm feeling super silly. And, you know, I just posted this, Tim's been doing yoga at nighttime. And every time he finishes yoga, he's been falling asleep, like on the ground. So I've been posting every single day that I was like, oh, well, wonder if when he's going to fall asleep. And people,
this is it. Yeah. They've been getting into it. Yeah.
Right. They're like, oh, I wonder if he's going to fall asleep today.
Is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So last night I posted, back at it again with the nighttime yoga. And, you know, people are like, oh, he's going to do it. And
he's going to do it.
He did.
Let me ask you this. Do you ever, like, because you see a lot of people, and I'm guilty of this too, do you ever repurpose stuff that you've done on Snapchat on Instagram or vice versa? Like, do you ever save a video and then upload it to Instagram or anything like that?
To my Instagram story?
Yeah.
I've done
that. I've actually done that. I've actually gotten complaints like, hey man, stick to your Instagram, or like, you know, create fresh content, man. That's not even what my audience sounds like. I don't know where that accent came from.
You're trying to like mock my generation of like Orange County surfer kids.
Exactly. Hey man, stick to Snapchat, man. That's like 70s guy right there. That's not even Orange County.
I mean, for me, it's a spur of the moment. I never really post on Instagram, but when I do, I mean, I'm getting more views on Instagram now than I do on my Snapchat. Like, it's gone down.
Whoa, really?
It's really gone down since this birth of Instagram stories.
But you stick to Snapchat. Why is that?
I think because the engagement is really cool. And I like interacting with people and seeing my friends who, you know, live in different states and keeping up with them. It's just more personal to me, I think. And I'm all about, you know, we're socially motivated individuals from birth. I always want that kind of connection.
You know, that's really interesting, because isn't that what's most important? It's not about the numbers, right? It's not about the amount of subscribers, followers, what have you. I mean, if you could, I know people who have 100,000 followers, but they only get like 2 or 3 people talking on their stuff. Right. So how valuable is that other, you know, 98,000, whatever, 99,000 count? If you're only getting a few people comment and engage, what's the point? They're just invisible people, right? So I think that's really interesting that you say that. It's not necessarily, even though you're getting more views. This is a great lesson, Nez Nation. Even though she's getting more views on Instagram, she likes the engagement more on Snapchat. So you don't think Snapchat's going anywhere, right? Like, do you think that Snapchat's in trouble? Their stock kind of went down a little bit. It was kind of funky-dunky. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of been going down. I mean, I haven't seen it recently, but I know that when they initially came out, I mean, to where it is now, I don't think it's even close. And
even for me personally, I'm not posting as much or, you know, using tags. I think I can feel that it's kind of like kind of on the down, like I'm waiting for that next thing to happen. Kind of like when MySpace went out. What's the next thing?
Oh my God. I hope Snapchat doesn't turn into MySpace. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. Like, to me, and you and Hannah, like, I didn't even have to tell Hannah. She's like, where have you been? Like, I have been focusing. I mean, naturally, because I've been getting actually a lot more engagement on, and but my Snapchat peeps I have not forgotten about you. Okay. I'm in a lot of places you can find me, especially I've been going hardcore on YouTube as well.
Yeah. How is that going?
I'm loving it. I'm growing like crazy. And it's actually, to me, it's just a lot of fun. Again, video to me is the predominant form of communication in the 21st century. I think that video is going to replace email, texting, definitely. Well, it's already replaced. It already is pretty much replaced everything.
I mean, when I call family and friends, I'm FaceTiming.
Exactly. So it's so funny. Like, I sound like I'm already out of it. It already is. It already has replaced all those things. And it's just going to get more and more. Like, when VR and AR, I mean, Snapchat is pretty much AR, right? Augmented reality, like Pokemon stuff. I think, you know, when that stuff becomes more mainstream and when you don't have to wear those clunkies and it becomes more convenient, holy macadamia nut, it's going to be a whole new world. You know, right. I'm going to be a hologram teaching classes in your living room while you're wearing boxers, eating chicken.
Well, I mean, even for the education world, you can take classes online, be a teacher
Yep.
virtually. You can homeschool your kid and go to school. You can teach abroad. Like you can teach. I know one of our friends, he does marketing and stuff like that. And he posted something about, you could be an English language learners teacher to kids in China. You just need a computer.
That's exactly true. That's exactly right. I've actually been offered those positions a lot.
Yes.
So yeah, I totally know what you're talking about. Yeah. And it's just going to see, technology never goes backwards. It always goes forwards, right? Unless there's some apocalypse, which is just, apocalyptic thinking really. Like technology always advances. It doesn't take a step back. We're not going back to horse and buggy, right?
Right.
We're not going back to, living in caves. Everything's going to keep going. If anything, we're going to probably have, condos on Mars, within the next 10 years. God knows if Elon Musk has his way. Let me ask you this, Hannah. Are your peers and friends, are they still sticking to Snapchat, or are they more, do you sense, because I like how you said you sense the migration. And I personally think Snapchat's still way too big to just be like throw in the hat. I think that Spiegel and Snapchat, they're going to come up with something.
What was I reading? Who wanted to buy Snapchat?
Oh, Google. Apparently
right?
there was,
Google.
I don't know if that was like, I can't remember if anybody watching.
Was that clickbait or was that, I don't even know.
Yeah, I actually think it was just a sort of rumor or just a murmur, but I don't think there was any truth to it. But yeah, like I remember seeing something astronomical, like Google offered Snapchat like $30-40 billion, which is insane, right? Like, but and they said no. Which this dude said no to Zuckerberg back in 2013, right? I mean, Zuckerberg offered him, I think, 3, and this was way before Snapchat was Snapchat, and he said no. So I kind of like his audacity. Some people call it narcissism. Some people call it ego.
I know.
But hey, Tim, we're trying to have an interview. Do you mind? How are you, sir?
Can you turn the light on? He said hi.
He's just horning. You're just horning in on the live broadcast. Say hello to NEZNATION, you big beluga.
NEZNATION.
This is the Tim who I was talking about, who I've been recording falling asleep at yoga.
Absolutely. And this is the Tim who is just. Now, Tim, let me ask you really quickly, because we've been talking about Instagram and Snapchat.
Hold on.
Uh-oh, what happened now? Oh, am I fuzzy?
No, you're good.
See, Tim, you come in and you ruin the picture. I can't believe you. No, but are you, I've been noticing, like, not as much maybe Hannah, but I've been noticing you, Tim. Are you increasing your presence on Instagram? Or are you still
he's on that story life. He's all about it.
I like the story a lot.
Okay. Are you still on Snapchat too, or not so much?
No.
Deleted it.
Yeah, I took it off.
Did you delete the app?
Yeah, I got
Whoa.
too late, man. Too late.
You know, I agree.
Because I was a story, and it was getting like 500, 600 views, and I post on Snap, and it's like 17. And I'm like, and it's my friend, 17. And I'm like, all right, you guys can text me or call me. You know where I'm at. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to have an app to see what I'm up to. You know what I mean?
My NEZNATION dieharders are on Snapchat, and they're still there, but I keep trying to get them to come over to my YouTube. I keep trying to get them to come over to my Instagram, but they're diehard Snapchatters, and I love them to death. I'm not ready to delete the app, but I have to be honest. Like,
you better cut that umbilical cord, or get back on the train.
I'm not on it as much. I have to be honest.
When I see you post, I'm like,
he's like, he posted. And it's usually like a quote that I've reposted, which is, I know that sounds sad, but I need to bring back #NotNeeded, because that Not Needed series, I had fun doing it. It was a nice creative outlet for me, because my stuff is mostly like, hey, this is, your kind of inspiration, your motivation, vibology. Like, the Not Needed thing was a way for me to vent, and people were getting a kick out of that. So I know in the back of my head that the #NotNeeded series is going to like make a comeback. I don't know when, but it will. And I'm not sure if it's going to be on, I think I have to do it on Snap. I think I can't do it on Instagram. Can I? Maybe I can. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. I want to, this is what I want to, so this is what I wanted to ask you. Your teaching mixed with social media, what are your thoughts on education? Because I've had a few professors on, and I've had a few teachers on. What are your thoughts on mixing social media or including social media as a part of like your teaching plan curriculum, and then we can kind of wrap it up. I have a couple last minute questions I want to ask you that sort of talk about you and your personal stuff.
It's such a hard topic. I mean, our generation now, like, I mean, I worked in a classroom where these kids turn in their assignments on Google Classroom and have threads on, they're, you know, middle school. But
hey, I had my students, check this out. I don't know if you watched one of my streams that I did with Professor Zhang, but I actually had my students turn in an assignment on Snapchat. This was like about a year ago. It was a public speech. It was a public speech class that I was teaching, not at Fullerton, Tim, but it was a public speech class. I would think I was teaching. I was contracted by the Art Institute, and they were so down like James Brown, like they were into it. And I said, yeah, just snap me your public show snaps of you doing a speech in front of at least a couple of your friends and following this rubric, following this curriculum. And they did it and they loved it. And it was killer.
I mean, I think there's definitely a quote unquote way to do it just to engage your students. You don't want them to like write up something and have it be, you know, not boring. If they're not interested, it's not going to be something that's fun for them. But I'm all about introducing, I mean, I know classrooms now have, what are they, Chromebooks? Like they have a Chromebooks and
tablets, all sorts of tablets.
Right. So
tablet fever.
Yeah, I'm about it, just in an appropriate way, because it can kind of get out of hand if, you know, you're having social media kind of mix in with almost like kids are pretty savvy, like personal life. So
I have a feeling my kids, I totally agree. And your kids too, like your kids when they grow up, my kids and your kids when they grow up, I mean, I think every school is going to be completely, if it's not already, just completely digitized from like top to bottom. I mean, it's going to be insanity. I can't even imagine. And I think holograms will be around by then. Okay. So you guys, I just want to say really quickly, Hannah, this has been an awesome show. We've already done an hour. It feels like it's been 5 minutes. I just want to say a big super thank you to you. And I want you to end out the show, close out. I'm going to close out with you talking to Nez Nation. But I just want to say thank you so much. You've been just awesome. I love everything that we've been talking about: purpose, identity, stigma, career, social media, storytelling. It's just been a really great show. I've been really appreciating it.
Yeah,
before I do hand off the baton, I want to remind you, Hannah, go into the comments after the broadcast is over. Go into the comments, and I want you to vocalize it, but I also want you to leave where you want people to reach you and find you in the comments. Okay? So, Nez Nation, thank you so much for watching. And Hannah, I want you, before we get out of here, tell the Nez Nation audience where they can find you verbally and what you want to leave with and end the show with. Tim, leave her alone.
He's putting groceries away. Yeah.
This is a professional show, okay? This isn't like this isn't like the Gong Show, all right? Go ahead, Hannah.
Well, you can find me on social media at Han, Hann, Fran, Frann, which is a really cool name because I think it's just so awesome. I just thought of it, like my middle name's Francesca. Obviously, my first name's Hannah.
Han Fran, it's got a nice ring to it.
Which is hilarious because if wherever we're going, people will be like, hey, Han Fran, hey, Bodies by Tim. It's just like got that, it's just super catchy.
Just like Professor Nez. Like my students coined that term.
I mean,
my last name is really hard to pronounce, and Nez I think it sounds good. Professor Nez, you know?
Just rolls off the tongue.
Rolls off the tongue.
What do I want to leave you with?
Yes. Before you do that, just if I may, Hannah, weren't you doing some kind of outside business besides education? Am I wrong?
Photography.
Okay, talk a little bit. That's what I wanted you to leave. Like, talk a little bit about that and what your plans are with that. Where you see that heading.
Well, excuse me, Timothy.
Sorry.
So I started photography when I was in high school. It was just something that I, was like, oh, this is pretty cool. My grandfather had a photography shop, and it kind of just was instilled in me when I picked up a camera that I loved taking pictures. And back to the whole thing, love people, loving people.
And I think it shows in your stories. I think your photography comes out. Like, I like the different shots. You do close-ups, you do long shots, you do landscape shots, you do portrait shots. I think it comes out. I really do. Do you have like gear too? Like, are you taking it that level or just kind of right now?
I do have gear. So
cool.
I do family portraits, and I do a lot of headshots, and a lot of local schools in my community. I do all of their like dance pictures and team photos, and for me to be able to like build relationships with people and continue to take
awesome.
pictures year after year is just really great.
And is there a hand friend? You need to, have you bought that domain yet? You need to.
Hannah Francesca Photography on, I'm trying to figure out the name just because it's so long.
No. Hand friend. This is it. You ready? Are you ready?
Yes.
Handfranphoto.org or .net or .photo or whatever. Handfran Photo. That's it. Handfran Photo.
Handfran Photo.
Yeah, it's just concise. It's more concise. It's more. You can't go Hannah Francesca Photography. It's like you're falling off a bridge. Handfran Photo or Handfran Media, even better. I like Handfran Media because, like it or not, you're a media company. Gary's kind of been echoing this lately, that everybody on social media is their own media company, right? And I kind of actually believe that, you know, not to sound grandiose, just really logistically and practically. Handfran Media, bam, that's got a nice ring to it.
I'm gonna have to let that one marinate overnight.
Let it marinate. Okay, Nez Nation. Well, I just want to say on behalf of our unbelievable guest, Handfran Media, I'm already going to coin that. I just want to say thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for checking out. And Hannah, I want to thank you again. You've been awesome. And please don't forget to go after the broadcast is done being live, after we're off the air. Please, when you get a second, go in the comments and leave all your info where you want people to find you.
Sounds great. Thank you so much for having me. I was really nervous to do this because like, nothing that special, but it was really great.
You crushed it. You crushed it. I thought it was awesome. It was a great conversation, and you were spectacular. You offered some great value. It was a great conversation. I had a lot of fun. I hope you did too.
I did.
So don't forget, everybody watching, and don't forget everybody watching on the replay, that every single Friday we bring it to you, Nez Nation Live. Okay, we bring interesting, creative, innovative people. So you got to hit that like button. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe, right, Hannah? So hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to my business page, because Nez Nation Live is every Friday, 7 p.m. Just the power of conversation. If you enjoyed this conversation, there's more to come. So we thank you again. Appreciate it. Have a wonderful night. And this is Professor Nez, and we are out. Peace, y'all.